And we are back again. I don't have like any funny, quirky intros, so I'm just kind of sort of gets into it. Yeah.
You can try and
Welcome
give them
back to
something.
try and give them something. Well, today, to be fair, it's been a long day today, man. I got like another fine from DVLA, which is
Oh God.
yeah, dumb parking, dumb driving, anything. But anyway, welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. I am not Bankole. I'm actually Obiora, and today we're joined by my good mates Ebube, all the way in Canada or America. I always forget.
It's Canada at the moment, but
It's the same. It's kind
honestly,
of the
from
same.
your point of view, it's basically the
Same
same thing.
country, yeah, same place. Just all America, yeah. How you doing, Ebube?
Fine. Going through a long day here as well, but probably not as long as the day that Conor Roy had in this
Oh my
episode.
gosh, we're gonna get to him. It's really funny how like the episode. Actually, let me kind of get a bit more a bit more professional. So today we're going to be talking about the best TV show on earth right now, called Succession. It is episode 9 and episode 2. Sorry, episode 9, episode 2, season 4, episode 2, called Rehearsal, which is directed by Becky Martin, who has also directed other shows like obviously Veep and British classic called The Peep Show, which is kind of definitely around the same temperature as Succession. And yeah, great episode. We'll talk about that. We'll give our thoughts about weddings, our choice of karaoke songs, and obviously the best family on TV right now. But before we kind of
Allegedly.
get to all of allegedly, before we get to all of that, just kind of want to let you know about like sort of things we got coming up. You have Barry coming up as well. Mandalorian is still there. Just all the TV shows. What's
Ted
that?
Lasso,
Ted Lasso is
Yellow
there as well.
Jackets,
It's. I mean, we release content,
with the
so much
one-stop shop
content.
right now.
It's everything, man. So all the TV shows, any single TV show you're probably watching right now are definitely covering it. So just yeah, don't be afraid to subscribe. Give us a couple of feedbacks. Give us ratings as well. It really helps out with how we go forward, how we plan ahead with things. So we really appreciate it. And obviously, if you have any thoughts or suggestions about things, always kind of give us slide into our DMs. If you have any other reasons why you want to slide into our DMs, slide into our DMs anyway. It's all good. We we all need some DMs in our life.
You're going to regret that, but okay.
I am literally the best host in the world right now. But yeah, let's get into let's get into Succession. Yeah. So what did you think about the episode? Just first thoughts, high level views.
It felt different levels of sad. Like it was
So
sad
sad.
in a legitimately melancholic way. It was sad in
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a pitiful way, and it was also
Mm-hmm.
sad in like just an overall hilarious way. And these different like levels of sad could range from when Logan is moseying like
Mm-hmm.
Hitman Santa, or when um the siblings are sitting down at Connor's supposed to be a rehearsal, when we're listening to
Rehearsal.
Willa talking about how she's leaving, when we're listening to Carrie, oh my god, Carrie with her
That was
with her
so
audition tape.
pathetic, man. Oh my goodness. Uh,
The feelings are mixed on that. I feel like I'm seeing people who are like, well, not really seeing people, but I feel like people are kind of expecting this to be viewed as really, really bad. I think that
mm-hmm.
probably some people are going to think, oh, this isn't too terrible. But I watched it and just thought, nah, bro, this is not it. This is not it. She's literally talking about a child dying and just inserting a random smile in the middle. It's like, sis, what are you doing? And clearly it's because she's nervous. But this lack of experience is something that, we should be aware of as she's auditioning for something as big as ATN. Like ATN is one of the biggest news outlets in the country.
Yeah. And it's quite hilarious when just like the conversations around Carrie are brought into screen about how Logan is sort of asking them,
I'm not involved.
how is she doing? I'm not involved, but how is she doing? And I mean, Tom, I'm having me feeling such a great actor, man, because he's like, he obviously can't tell him the truth,
Yeah.
like what he really thinks, because that's kind of like the show, isn't it? You can't really tell people what you really think about things directly, so he has to be like, yeah, she needs a bit of work, she needs a lot of work and stuff like that, but he's on it, and yeah, it was, and her conversation with Greg was just amazing, man, because it's sort of the same thing about trying to get your point across, but not making your point, but still making your point and stuff. And I mean, those two actors are just amazing, man. Because I really felt that was kind of like an Aaron Sorkin back and forth, like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth, back and
Power
forth.
duo.
And I really enjoyed that scene. But I mean, it's really hilarious how I actually start with Kerry. I think my thing about this episode is, like, I know I've said this a million times on the Popcorn for Dinner podcast about how acting, the concept of acting is putting people in one room and letting them say things. That is what acting is. If you go into the dictionary, that is kind of what you'd find definition of acting, and that's kind of what this, especially that last scene when they have the three kids and the dad, well, the four kids. Of course, I forgot about Connor. Well, the four kids and the dad.
You have
That
to
is
stop doing that.
basically. I even fell into that trap as well. That is not the premise of the show, but kind of the premise of the show. It's like the relationship, the dynamics, and everything, right? And we have all of them in that room. What kind of meal can you cook? And you saw they made a huge, sad gourmet buffet, basically, because that final scene was pretty rough.
To say the least.
When they're kind of, to say the least, when they're just kind of peeling, rolling back the years of how you've traumatized us as kids and everything. I mean, I like, you sort of start feeling sorry for the kids. I'm like, this is how they've ended up and everything, right? But you're kind of like, is Logan being sympathetic? What? And I guess we'll get to Logan about, like, how do you actually feel it was all sincere and everything? Actually, I guess we could go there now. Do you feel that was sincere on his part, or do you feel like there's a bigger game to him?
You mean the faux apologies that he was providing?
The apologies, I guess we'll have that in quotation marks. Yeah.
Um, well, I think in Logan's case, because he's such a pathological liar, that's very good at, pathologically lying.
Hmm.
Anything he says can probably be viewed as, I guess with a grain of salt. Like he's the type of person who is so good at saying whatever needs to be said in order to get the job done, in order to get the deal done, in order
Exactly.
to convince people to side with
Exactly.
him. Um,
Hmm.
However, in this situation, I think there really is a sense of almost melancholic contrition. It's like I didn't have to
Mm.
do you guys like this badly, to be honest. Like I keep saying everything I do is for my children, but like here you are my actual children and I'm actively making you suffer. I think there's a part of him that, this is dawning on. And
Hmm.
yeah, I
Plus,
yeah.
I think it's kind of like in the whole context of the season where he's sort of thinking about his own existence, thinking about how, for example, at his birthday party, and all the kids were there, and he just kind of felt quite alone.
Yeah, and he does tell them that, which I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting him to fully
Mm.
admit that in public. But he did. So that was
But
cool.
you sort of think about all of that, right? Then 10 minutes before he was denying them the helicopter access, wasn't he?
Apologizing for that
So
too was pretty funny to me.
he actually
Yeah.
apologized for that, but yeah, there's that. It's I found that scene quite, yeah. I mean, when they're sort of going all the way back, and you sort of start thinking about, like, yeah, he actually did hit Roman a lot when he was a kid, and that's sort of part of the reason why Roman is like this, and the
This.
whole Shiv, the whole the whole Shiv and the divorce lawyers, which is pretty. We'll get to Shiv. We'll get to
He
Shiv.
does make an
But then
interesting
you
point
sort of hear
though
about
that if she was around, he would have given her
if she was
similar
there.
advice. Um,
But I mean that's quite manipulative, though, isn't
it
it?
is because at the same time, like if your child is getting divorced, why are you helping Tom?
Why are you helping
Like you should be
Tom?
calling
Like
Shivs like,
what?
okay, I understand that like we're not on good terms, but like if you're gonna divorce this guy, this is what should happen. I mean, Logan has been through multiple divorces, right? So
Honestly,
he
so
understands that
he's
playbook.
got the masters in that. Yeah, he knows how to do it, and I mean, that's quite shitty of him actually. Just all the divorce lawyers all about, and yeah, but then we sort of, I mean, they drop a little bomb about Connor's mom,
Hmm. Locking her up.
and I was like locking her up, and I was like, where did that come from? Like,
What does that actually even
where on
mean?
earth did that come? Like, is it? Did he lock her up in? I mean, in jail, or was
I'm
it
guessing
like
they
a
mean some type of yeah,
mental institute or
yeah.
something? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought as well. But yeah, I mean, even kind of like the way that scene all came together. Let's talk about the deal because it's sort of kind of witnessed in this episode about how just things change. So, for example, they were all for the deal. Then Shiv kind of sort of started getting second thoughts, phoned Sandy in, and now she's sort of against the deal because she thinks she can squeeze for more money alongside Sandy and Stewie. Plus,
Which is a bad
Kendall,
idea, by the way.
he had
I just want to say that right now. That's just a bad idea. But okay.
he then has well he was all for the deal, then he has this phone conversation with Matson and he sort of realized they have this sort of secret, if it's friendship, if it's association,
Correspondence, so to speak.
correspondence
I
sort
mean,
of
I know Kendall
thing.
probably knew
And
him on some level, right? Because he was at the birthday party.
yeah, exactly. And but like does anyone really know anybody in that show, or is everyone just kind of yeah, I know, kind of stuff. But like you sort of realize that Matson obviously doesn't want the deal. He wants the deal to go through, and he's working alongside Kendall. But then Kendall sort of flips, switches it up and says, "No, I think we can squeeze him for more money." So I was a bit so what's going on
He's
here?
going to walk.
Well,
he like these guys are honestly playing with fire because I
hmm
agree with MK still, but I'm gonna say
hmm
I kind of agree with Logan here. If they play too much, Matson will walk. He's crazy enough to do that. I like the way he says it in the phone call with Kendall too. He's like, yeah, your dad's gonna sell, but if you guys mess around, it's
not
not
to
gonna be to
him.
me. And that is very
So
poignant.
so what's the risk then if they don't sell? Then they haven't got the funds for the PGN deal,
Yeah,
right?
they overpromised on Pierce. It's actually such a just this weird like leeching off of everybody's like allegiances and egos because
hmm
they've essentially been kicked out of control of Waystar Royco, right? So ATN, all that stuff.
Yeah. hmm
And because they feel scorned, the kids, they're trying to buy Pierce, right?
hmm
But in order to buy Pierce, they need the payouts from the Waystar deal so that they can have
Yeah.
enough money to do that, so that they can supposedly continue screwing with their dad as he continues to run ATM. Like, it's just why? Just go do something else with your life. I'm so confused. Like, it's hilarious that that's the case because they really do need that money for any of this to work. Um,
I mean, you could kind of think about how you can sort of justify why they're doing this then, because like they do need that extra cash, don't they?
yeah.
Because what does Kendall say? It's about 100 million between. Is it each or between them?
But I think it's between them. Still
Between
an
them,
insane
which
amount
is
of money. Like,
still it's not chump change. So they do need the money, which is the funny thing. But at the same time, it's like, how much more do you want to keep
literally, like
squeezing
how much money
before?
is enough? Like, why is this not how much? I mean, sure, 100 million. Maybe they can get 100 million. That's not small money, but like
Mhm.
it's not gonna make too huge of a difference to what they already have. Like, I don't know. I think maybe that's probably gonna be like, I don't know, 1% to of like what they might end up making, like as a whole,
Hmm. Hmm.
from all this.
Hmm.
So like, do you really want
Hmm.
to risk Matson for like an extra like 1 to 5%?
Yeah, but like, what if you're right? What if they've got the leverage? What if Matson actually gives in?
So you think there's a world where Matson doesn't walk when they bring this up, even though he can see them coming from a mile away because there are apparently spies letting him know what's happening?
I think the interest, I think definitely the interesting angle would be Matson walking, because that'll obviously lead to like more conflict and like what the hell happens now. But what if the kids are right? What if there's another negotiation process that has to happen where, okay, the deal is off, but we feel that, we can get a bit more money from you? Because that, I mean, I feel like we're kind of all predisposed to believe, not believe, but to trust Logan a lot more than the kids. But obviously, why wouldn't you trust Logan more than the kids, especially with like business decisions? He's got like what 6 years of experience um, behind making all of these deals, right? And obviously being on the right side of history. So, I mean, who are we to question him? But at the same time, it's like, what if he's wrong? He's already starting to, you know, he's basically fast tracking Kerry into the most important, one of the most important roles in the company. So, is he just losing it now or something? Is he losing the touch? What's going on?
I mean,
So,
maybe he has experience with that too. You know, just
yeah,
general like, I'm nepotism, but I'm not involved type of behavior.
yeah, there always has to be like that separation, isn't there? But like I think he's kind of already starting to plan for life after after the sale, because I mean the way the episode starts was, you know straight to ATN, isn't it? To give this sort of, you know war general type of speech. I mean, when I heard that, I wanted to run through a wall, man. Honestly, I was like, yes, let's go
Nah, like,
spread some hate and
I was
propaganda.
actually
Let's
so
go.
annoyed. I was like, why am I hyped at this?
Let's
Why
go.
is this working on me?
Annoyed.
Like, why
it
is this
was
actually a
it was
rousing speech? It's not supposed to be like this.
I mean, right, all the actors in this show are just amazing, man. And it's like stood right in the middle there, just screaming his lungs out,
I'm
trying
like, yo,
to
so this man can shout like
hype
this.
up the crowd and everything. It was amazing. And yeah, man, he was like, "You fucking pirates," and I was like, "Yes, I'm the fucking pirates.
Not you
Call me
going,
Jack
I'm a
Sparrow."
pirate. What's wrong with you?
I was getting so gassed, man. I don't even know why. I think he's like, because he's got a bit of Scottish. Well, he's Scottish, isn't it? So he's the Scottish accent plus scream. I was just like, yeah, let's go,
Oh
let's go,
my
let's go.
god.
But yeah, like, because obviously he's like really into news, isn't he? So I'm quite interested to know, because we've got the election as well coming up as well. Sort of spoke about that last episode. So is the plan for him to get this sale done, so he has a lot more focus on ATN before the whole election brouhaha comes through?
On some level, yeah, because Logan
Hmm.
loves news, and that's where he's kind of used to, I guess, wielding power and influence. That's kind of how
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
manages the agenda of the
Hmm.
conversation. And
Hmm.
I think that on some level, it's what he needs. If he wants to get back into the
Hmm.
bullpen, so to speak, with all these different people, with all the people who work for him and kind of manage their core assets, then,
Hmm.
running ATN is essentially how he does that. But I feel like that's just a weird move for him as well. It's like, it almost feels weird to see someone like him doing that. Like, why not just like, retire? But yeah,
People like that just don't even know what retiring
I'm not
means,
sure he
man.
knows the meaning of the
Honestly,
word. But
no chance. I mean, but I'm quite confused by him, because there was a bit in the episode where they notify him about the kids who might vote against the deal. alongside Sandy and Stewie in the board meeting. But he then gives like this little smirk and says like, "Yeah, they've got some juice." What do you think about that?
That confused me a little. I was like, what does he mean by that? Is he impressed? Is
Yeah,
he
same.
like, does he feel like, okay, I'm ahead of them still? Like they don't have anything on me really, even though they think they
Hmm.
do. Like, or is it just like, okay, they want to play ball, let's play ball? Because then he comes up with all that
Hmm.
contrition later, and it's like, so what juice were you talking about?
Honestly, because I mean, I've got here in my notes about like, does he want? So he wants the kids to, he wants the kids to juice up the price, but he doesn't want them to juice up the price. So what? I'm not sure what he wants. I'm not sure what's in his head right now. So I was quite confused about that. But I guess with the kind of later episodes, we'll see. Um, yeah, I think that's Logan. I did enjoy his the conversations around Kerry. His conversation with Tom is always because Tom is always because he can't say what he really thinks. So Tom is just always talking around in
Yeah,
circles, right? Then Logan is just kind of always straight, direct, straight line, straight to the point and stuff. Then he obviously tells Greg to fuck off, doesn't he? He's that's kind of his catchphrase, and isn't it?
yeah. At that point, when Greg
It's
was
funny
talking
how
about
like
that pizza, I was like, oh well, there's I was just like, what are you doing? This is not the time or place.
no
What are
one
you doing?
just
Like,
just walk, just go away,
and then he
man.
just left, which was low
Honestly,
key hilarious. It's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna gonna argue.
did you? I mean, there was that part when he had that meeting with Carl and Jerry. Then Carl was watching the video. Well, they were both watching the video of Kerry, weren't they? And
Oh,
they were
you
laughing. He
mean when?
closed it
Yeah.
quickly.
Oh my god. The fact that Fisher Stevens is in this show always gets me. But yeah, like
Hmm.
just them bringing. When the theme song was playing, right, and the opening credits were rolling,
Hmm. Hmm.
I was looking at some of the names and I noticed Fisher Stevens. I was like, okay, so that means Hugo is in this episode, right? So the
Hmm.
fact that they brought Hugo just for this, like Hugo is in this episode just for that scene, is just too funny because like because yeah, they're laughing and everything, and then they walk in. But bro, he didn't pause the video before closing. Like whenever people do that on TV, I'm just like, what are you doing? You can't just shut the laptop. Like, you actually can't shut the laptop
No,
because
but
now
it's,
he's like, okay, well, let's look at it on your computer, and then he's trying to get Carolina to do it, and obviously she's like, why would you do it? Yeah,
she was not having it,
and
man,
then
at
he's
all.
scared to open his. And then I
She's
realized,
like, yeah,
as
just
soon as
run
I
it, just run
realized
it.
he was scared to open the laptop because he knew that as soon as he did,
Mhm.
we started to see the Carrie video. I started screaming because my god. And then when he opens it, he's like
Oh
doing his
man.
best to connect. I'm sorry, I think that may have been the funniest moment in the episode for
Oh
me.
man, Carl. Yeah, because he's like he opens and he closes it quickly, and it was just kind of like
That
yeah,
was too
like
much.
I feel we kind of it was so funny when kind of all relate to that. Not wanting
And
someone to see
and actually, there's a
what
moment
you're
later
browsing.
on after Logan talks to the kids at the karaoke bar, right? Where
Hmm.
he comes up with this decision of like what to do and like pushing the meeting, blah blah blah. And he specifically says, get Frank, get Carl, but no Jerry. And I'm wondering why. Does it
I
have to do
was
with the thing with Hugo? Or does he just have some kind of mistrust situation with Jerry right now? Because I mean, because also in
I
episode
was
one,
thinking that as well.
um, he asked her to like roast him, like the whole, and she was just like, "Yeah, I'm not participating in this." Like, I don't know, is Jerry on some type of, like I'm like quiet
Well,
quitting?
he did say the night. He said he did say the night of the long knives is coming
Yeah.
soon, isn't it? So, um, by the way, listeners, anyone who doesn't know the night of the long knives, just yeah, do a quick Wikipedia search. It was not a nice time in history, but when when he says that, I feel there might be a lot more fat that might be trimmed out of the of the kind of like management
Mhm.
and important people that we know. Well, he's already said that Sid is
He
gone
said that.
at the end of the episode. Yeah, to Roman
Oh wow, that is
at the end of
true.
the episode. Yeah, the lady in
Yeah,
charge of
because
ATN says
I always wondered
she's
because
gone.
they have her and they have Tom. It's like, do they really need both of them? Like, what's the plan there?
Yeah, but like I think he's trying to get rid of her to put Roman in that position. I was going to ask you about this
You think
actually.
that's what he's
Do
doing?
you feel he's been? Well, he that's what he says at the
Well,
end of the
yeah,
episode,
but
isn't it?
like,
Like he wants.
what about Tom?
I was about to ask you.
Because Tom technically is
Do
head
you feel
of
he's being
ATN,
sincere to
right?
Roman?
So why would he bring another? Like I thought, if he was removing, I mean, yeah, he does say that to Roman, but that's where it confuses me, right? Because why bring, like, if you're taking away Sid, I thought that's to make sure that like there's just one person in charge of ATN that you can control. But why bring in Roman? Like, wouldn't Roman
Hmm.
be best like used somewhere else? Or if Roman's going to be doing ATN, like, why do you need Tom there? Like, why not put Tom somewhere else?
So who's more hands on with ATN? Would that be Tom or
Definitely Sid.
Sid?
She's the one who's been running it this whole time. Tom was just made head of ATN
Yeah.
recently.
So I mean, because he says that Roman is not Pierce,
Yeah, it
which is
is true.
true. Like, remember that remember that scene last season when Roman was talking to Mankin in the
How could I
bathroom,
forget?
right? And how could anyone forget? Yeah, and he just like when he was talking, he was like, I mean, what you're saying is
It's
horrible
like
and
he knows how to
deplorable,
speak the
right?
language.
But you know how to speak the language, you know how to get your point across. You sound extremely convincing right now,
I think that's one of
and
the most impressive
I
Roman
mean, where
moments
the
in the
hell did
whole
this
show,
come from?
actually. I think most of us were watching that scene thinking,
Honestly,
whoa, who is this?
yeah, and like to be fair though, he's been quite he's been like the most logical one out of the
Because he's the only
siblings, I
one
would
who's
say,
trying
this
to start
season.
a business. As he says in episode 1, I'm trying to actually run a business without like just for the sake of running a business, like without the need to fuck anybody. Like
Yeah,
that's how he says it, right? And
yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think he is annoyed with the whole Kendall and Shiv situation because not only are they
hmm,
not
hmm,
really listening to him, but their motivations are so juvenile. Like you can see at the end of the episode when they're in the car going away from the karaoke bar, or even before they leave
yeah,
when they're just like laughing to each other like,
hmm, hmm,
oh, like we fucked dad real good, right? It's like, what is wrong? Come on,
yeah, yeah. We got him.
like haven't you had enough of this nonsense? Like is that really your only portion in life? Like, Kendall, how's your son doing? You know, like, bro, don't you have other things to worry about? Like,
There's some questions. There's some questions we didn't ask, and that is one of the questions you
I
don't want
feel
to be
like I'm just
asking.
always here. Like, bro, what are you actually here doing? So I think it makes sense that Roman would want to kind of, I guess he would be incentivized to leave that situation. Kieran Culkin actually did an interview recently
Yeah.
where he was
Mhm.
asked who he thinks is going to get the crown handed to them, right? And he says Roman,
Mhm,
which
mhm.
at first I thought, okay, yeah, of course you're gonna say that. Like these people always like end up pushing their characters, even if it's just for jokes, because they can't tell us what will actually happen. But then he backs it up with an interesting point.
Mhm.
He says because Kendall are and Shiv are too smart for their own good. Like they're constantly trying to change things. Like Kendall wants to make things a little bit more expansive in terms of content reach. Shiv wants to make things more progressive, and Roman, honestly, he's just the most like
Mhm.
Logan. He give people
Just
what
give
they
people what they
want. He
want.
understands the business enough, and he's not trying to change anything. And I think in a lot of ways that's what Logan likes about Roman as a potential successor.
He just gets
Yeah,
it,
like
doesn't
it
he?
could.
It's just really
He's like a
funny.
Connor who's actually
Like,
interested.
yeah, it's really, it's really funny how like at the start of the episode when we were talking about what their version of news is going to be, and Kendall got up and said like, why don't we give them
Oh my god, let
Africa?
it. Oh,
Why don't we give it's like
just be
why don't we give
Africa
them
all the time.
why don't we teach
What?
them
What does that even mean?
what why don't why don't we teach them a new way of getting news? And I was kind of like, I mean, yeah, but no. that sounds really nice and you know nice and well, but people just want to hear why you know we should have more guns rather than what is going on in Africa and the dynamics of
I mean,
the
yeah, it's
next
an interesting commentary on
election
America's
in East Africa or
dystopic
something.
political landscape. But yeah,
Honestly, man, and it's like Roman understands. Like, what did they say? It sounds like homework. He sounds like homework, doesn't it? So I think he just understands. Uh, he just gets it, which is kind of what quite interesting. Sort of going back to that scene about what if Logan is manipulating him again, like,
which is very likely. You can't just like he's here telling
which is
him,
very
he's here telling him,
likely,
"I
which
need
is
you." And it's
why,
like,
which is what those. I mean, his well, not his other siblings, but his Shiv and Kendall, which is kind of why they despise his dad so much because they've been the recipients of
being
these
burned.
before
Yeah,
from their dad, and they've been burned quite previously. But I think Roman is still quite he still has it's still quite it's like the shiny toy. He still doesn't really know what is going on right now, like unlike he feels like the other kids and stuff. So I think that'll be something quite interesting to observe going forward. Um, to be fair, though, if I was Shiv, I mean, if you've sort of taken up all the divorce
that is
lawyers
definitely
in
annoying.
the, that's pretty shitty. I mean, she was quite
I mean,
upset,
because
wasn't
like, what is
she,
she gonna have to
in
do
this
now? Like,
episode?
is she who or is she gonna get somebody to actually like, I guess, properly secure her own part of like the separation? It's
Hmm.
yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, because in the end, all these people financially, they'll be fine. In the end, everybody's gonna be fine. But like, it's just
For the
little
most
things
part,
like
yeah.
these details of like what they're fighting over for ego's sake. That's kind of what matters.
Ego man. It's funny because like I thought she'd have made Tom sign a prenup.
Um, maybe there is one actually, and maybe that's why he's trying. Maybe that's why he's
Maybe there is
looking
one, yeah.
for a good lawyer and ensuring that like you know
Right.
she has everybody. But like, it's interesting how like the whole legal landscape works. It's like, okay, so just because he's met with these people, they can't even like consider defending her.
Yeah, I was not aware of that, I wasn't really sure that's how legal stuff worked. But I guess you'd pay them for like an initial consultation, wouldn't you? Which is kind of
In
what
a
they
sense,
do,
yeah,
I
but then
guess.
it's
But
also like they
yeah,
know
I mean,
everything. When you're like, their job is to defend their client's side, but when you now know too much about both sides, then you're basically just involved, and that's why it becomes a conflict
which
of
is what
interest.
you don't want to be. Hmm, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we have a lawyer part of the Popcorn for Dinner podcast universe, multiverse, but he's not around right now, is he? He's skiving. But yeah, that's pretty rough because there was a couple of times when she just had like this face on, well, she was on the phone call, and when she kind of realized what was going on, she was like, "Oh my god, I fucking hate my dad." But yeah, I guess that's the kids and Logan. Yeah, I'm quite interested to see um how the kids
Hmm.
go with this deal because I don't know. I feel like they're flying too
Hmm.
close to the sun, man. Like I feel like it might just go really wrong, and like what happens after that?
I mean, they're already going wrong with the whole like,
Because
let's
if
bring force Matson back to the table thing, with Kendall having ridiculous ideas and then texting Stewie, and then Stewie responding unrealistically fast with PDFs.
yeah, I was gonna ask like if you're that rich and isn't that quite quick?
I guess Stewie was just
That's quite
monitoring his
quick
phone,
a
hoping for
response time,
something
isn't it? Like
because
yeah, I guess he has like multiple phones, doesn't he? And like this phone is probably for very, very, very important people and business. So that's
yeah.
probably why. Um, but yeah, that's. That's the kid. Should we get to well the other kid as well, Connor and his wedding
What a
rehearsal?
life. When he went to talk to
Tough
Willa's
man,
mom, I was just like, ugh. Just
tough,
the
tough, tough,
idea of
tough.
these people arriving, right? And then Willa is leaving with people, like just a group of people. It's just like, ugh, this is
He should
yeah,
probably hide or
this is
something.
sad. And like maybe they're her actual friends. Like I don't really have too much of an issue believing that.
Yeah, to be
But it's
fair, she might
like
actually have friends. Yeah,
like he's just leaving and then when he tells her about like her speech where she's like, yeah, I don't want to do this or I can't do this, like wow, like these guys really it's so funny how the show made sure that Kendall, Roman, and Shiv would not be able to attend this event. But then we're hearing about what happened. Like for some reason, hearing about it this way rather than like witnessing her saying this stuff is just worse. I don't know why it's worse, but it's just all the more sad that way
yeah, and
because you can see Connor just recovering.
it still served the purpose as well, though. Yeah, I mean, I'd have loved to see the speech and everyone's faces and like what the fuck is going on right now. That would have been nice, but I feel like we got more than enough from the reactions, from her reaction, from his reaction. I was like, let's just get out of here. Let's go to a normal place with normal people. And I think that just did it for me. I think the Y used to do that a lot
Really?
actually. Um, yeah, they won't show the police chase. They'll just show the afters of the police with like everyone
Yeah.
handcuffed and everything.
Yeah, you
Because I
get a
mean,
sense of
what's
what
the point?
happened
We've seen a lot
essentially.
of police chases now. Yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, man, Connor, tough. I guess let's go to Willa first because we've kind of seen this brewing for a bit, even since like last season when he proposed to her at
Hmm.
Caroline's wedding, and I mean, you saw her face where it's like, I
I think
I
in her
really don't want
mind she
to do
expected that
this,
she'd
but
be able to like escape this situation at some point. Like she expected to kind of get the best that she could out
mhm.
of being with Connor and then not actually have to spend her whole life with Connor. But I think over time, she has actually grown to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
love him on some level. Like she's kind of grown to see herself as his partner. But still marrying
that's
him
interesting.
is such a permanent situation that it makes sense that she might have some type of anxiety because however she sees herself, that will kind of change once she marries him because she has a whole new part of her identity that exists
Mm,
because of that marriage. Like she'll forever be associated with the Roys for whatever it's worth, right? Like she may have just been before she met him,
mm,
she may have just been like a I mean, obviously she was a regular person, but she may have had different like views. She may even still have different views politically, socially, culturally. She clearly likes the theater and all that stuff. Like it's all nice and like
she
yeah,
believes
like
art can
she probably
change the
felt
world.
that being involved with Connor was kind of like a means to an end. The end being the having
Mhm.
resources to do the things she actually wants, and she'll still get that here. But I guess maybe there's a part of her that didn't actually bank for being Mrs. Conroy. So
That's interesting. I don't really. 'Cause I thought of it like she likes the life. She's so deep
yeah,
into this sort of lifestyle right now of,
Gilded Cage.
um, you know, yeah, exactly. So it's like, how can she get back to what she was before, the life she was living before, taking taxis and subways to places rather than just, getting like a private, you know, car or something somewhere and getting the helicopter to other places. And it's like, how can you ever go back to
There's
that
no way.
life? But, and I think she's just so trapped within this life that she's living right now that I mean, how can she go back to a shitty old mattress right now? She always
Yeah,
needs to go back to that
I,
nice room
I
that
think there's a part of her
we
that's
eventually saw
angry
her at
with
the end of the
herself about
episode.
this. It's like, yeah, I'm doing pretty great right
Hmm.
now. Like I've made a huge leap in my style of living. It reminds me of Bex in Ted Lasso, young Rebecca,
Hmm.
um, that Rupert Mannion married, right? She's doing so great. Like nobody has done better for themselves in that show than her because she married this guy. They have a kid.
Mm.
She's now living in the house. Like everything is actually like working out so well for them. Um, Whereas
Hmm. Hmm.
whereas now, like with Willa, she does have all this like self improvement and just quality of life improvement, but at what cost? It's like
Hmm.
she's now going to be like more distant from all the things that she was already doing. She's going to be kind of like a prop because one of the reasons they're getting married is because Connor needs that for his political persona, right? It's just how it is. Like people tend to, whether it's like in politics or business, people just tend to trust people who are married, right? But then again, maybe she understands
Yeah.
who Connor is a lot more than she did at the beginning, and just being linked permanently to that is a little bit uncomfortable because she understands that
Hmm.
Connor is Connor, but in the end, he's still a Roy. And there's a sense of similarity between all of them. Like they're
Yeah.
all cut from the same cloth, obviously. Um, it reminds me of something else
Hmm.
Kieran Culkin said in that same interview I mentioned earlier, where he was asked like how the Roys are as people and like which one of them is actually like the worst. And he said that Carter might be the most evil person in the show because essentially like he bought a human
Mm.
and put this human into a gilded cage that she can't escape from, and he's
He
not
just
even
has
fully
the
like he just thinks it's fine. He has no idea what he's doing.
it's the lack of self awareness for me. That's the worst thing. He's just so like, yeah, I'm 1%, and I can't go down to 0% because
Like,
that's
bro,
just
how
bad
is it
for
bad
me.
for you? Like,
And it's like I'm gonna
get some.
get free promotion
The
from
man
this
has no
wedding, which is supposed
perspective.
to be like my wedding.
Like he,
It's just zero perspective. It's just completely
yeah,
so far
he's
out of it.
fully allowed wealth
But
to separate him from anything resembling reality. And that's the funny thing about Connor. Like, just look at him in this
honestly,
episode, like saying, "Yeah, let's go somewhere real, where like there are men working with their hands and there's grease." What does that mean, Connor?
and there's Greece, and they bleed, and it's just like, yeah, not to one of your shitty places, and we, and we did order like some, or something like that. It's just like this
And
is
Kendall is like, "Yeah, okay, gin and tonic, please."
that's more like it.
Because in the end, like they actually even still end up in a private room.
Yeah,
And what
because
is
they
that
just
song he
can't.
was singing for crying out loud?
I was trying to clock it, like whose singing was better, his singing or Kendall's season in his birthday party last season.
Mm, I hate this, but I'm gonna have to go with Kendall's.
Yeah, that was pretty.
I was just of all the things, honesty by Billy Joel, Kendall. Like I know he wanted it to be on the nose, but come on, bro. Like you have to understand that there are levels of cringe. Like they're just
That was
levels.
so bad. That was so bad. I couldn't even watch it. I was just like, what is going on? That's how the episode started as well, isn't it? Before
Yeah,
the
and the
credits.
plan was
You just see
apparently
this
for
guy.
him to be dropped from the ceiling, like with a harness and everything.
Listen,
And then he's like,
on your
"Yeah, I don't think I
40th,
want to do this."
you need to go out, man. You need to go all out. What's your karaoke song?
I don't know that I have only one. I think I'll just look at the
Ooh,
list and whatever I'm feeling, I'll just go.
whatever you're feeling, you're feeling.
Thankfully, I don't have to psych myself up too much to sing, so I can adapt.
Just get some liquid courage in you like Willa and just go for
Might
it.
not even need it, but yeah, that could
Oof.
make things fun.
There we go. There we go. I'm not karaoke in ages. It's for weekend plans, I guess. Yeah.
There you go.
But
After exams,
after exams, because yeah, gosh, fucking doing me in. Um, Tom and yeah, I guess that's Connor, isn't it?
hmm
Um, and Connor would just never go against his dad, innit? He would just never
yeah, because
like.
he understands what he needs. I honestly laughed out loud when when like they were in that like karaoke place.
Hmm.
And then Logan tells, I don't know who he told, was Carrie or someone next to him. It's like, yeah, just heard from Connor. I was like, what? And it's like, this is why they were trying to have that conversation away from Connor. And I was actually, I was over there like, come on, Shiv, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, Connor can hear whatever you guys are planning. Apparently, I was wrong because immediately within the same breath, he told that. And then Logan shows up and is like, okay, how did you know we're here? How did you know? Because, like,
That
yeah,
was
I
so.
called him. And he's like, what? And I was just like, wow.
That was so funny. He's like, yeah, dad is on his way. Be like,
It's like, oh well, so, some of us don't like to keep secrets. It's like, nah, he wants to make sure the deal goes through because Connor is the only person here that doesn't have a job. So he actually needs steady income somehow. And he's like, yeah,
Just
whatever
vibing,
is
man.
going on between you
Honestly,
guys and dad, that's not messing with my need for money. So I
no,
just thought that
just
was
don't
way
mess with
too
my
funny.
cash flow for my elections. Thank you very much. But I mean, isn't next episode is supposed to be um
The actual wedding.
that's yeah, it's supposed to be it's kind of titled Connor's wedding.
Pretty much,
So
yeah, because like it's you know, I know we talked before about how this new episode, this episode 2 and episode 3 could kind of be like sister
one.
episodes, kind of like how
Hmm,
they did it
hmm.
with Shiv's wedding and sort of how they did it last season as well with episodes 8 and 9,
Hmm.
um, but at the same time, I don't know if it feels that way as much because Connor, like, there was very little of the actual rehearsal in this episode. Like,
Zero.
it just happened to be like a thing that was there in script. So I think
Yeah,
with the actual wedding, we'll get quite a lot of it because it's the next day. Connor was saying, "Yeah, I'm looking to get married tomorrow." So literally, the next episode
yeah.
is going to be set the next day. So we're looking at a very short time span here. So it's interesting pacing that we're getting in that way.
So can we assume that the wedding is still going on then?
It is still going on, but what we can also assume is that Logan doesn't care to attend because he's trying to, run through his machinations and he's
Well,
bringing
the board
Roman
meeting
along.
is like tomorrow, isn't
It
it?
is
Like,
all of this is tomorrow. I'm actually not sure why
or is
Connor's wedding
tomorrow?
is happening on this day. I think he's trying to
Yeah.
rush things. But yeah, my understanding
Yeah,
is
what's he
that Connor's
doing,
wedding
man?
is tomorrow. Logan wants to move the
Hmm.
board meeting, and then he wants to have a different meeting with Matson and take Roman along. And Roman himself is like,
That's
okay,
gonna be.
but like Connor's wedding though, and then Logan's face is just like, uh huh. So
What's my business?
literally, so
That's his
so
problem.
yeah, I
That's between
guess
him and
we
his
could
and
end up
Willa.
with a situation, hopefully not, where nobody ends up going to Connor's wedding because everybody's busy chasing money.
Honestly, like that's gonna be interesting. I can't wait for that. Matson, Roman, and Logan conversation. That's gonna be one. That's gonna be like my kind of conversation. Just jabs here and there, things you shouldn't say but you'd say.
Yeah,
Ah,
I
just
mean,
can't wait
there's
for
a
that, man.
scene from
Skarsgård is
this
amazing in
moment in
this
the
role.
trailer, right, where Roman's telling Matson's like, "I hate you," like you know that, right? Oh my gosh, maybe this
Oh
is that.
man,
But yeah, the
yeah,
pacing is so good. Like it barely feels like it's only been two
so good,
episodes.
man.
Like I feel like so much has
Honestly,
happened.
I still haven't got into Mankin as well in the elections, which I feel is going to
Yep.
be huge. Like, so just what a great show, man. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that I can't believe I'm experiencing. I'm watching this like in motion right now. Like, honestly,
Yeah, it is cool to be able to actually talk about the show in real time. I mean, it's one of those things
in
that
real
people will be
time.
watching for a long time, but there's a difference between like, watching this show 10 years from now and like watching it right now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like all the other shows, like the only good show that I kind of watched in real time was Mad Men, and that was,
Oh,
like came much later, much later. I came in like season 5 or something,
okay.
or
Yeah, I
season
watched
6.
Batman after it was done.
Yeah, I mean Game of Thrones. I came in at season 4, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah.
But like Breaking Bad, I didn't watch. Well, no, Breaking Bad. I watched it when it was done. The
Hmm.
Wire when it was done. Sopranos. Well, I haven't seen The Sopranos, but I mean that's coming. But yeah, I guess that's the episode. I really it was such a nice smooth watch. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that
Um,
scene at the end was very heavy. I think that like, that kind of was the emotional core of things.
it's kind of what we needed.
But
Yeah,
that's the thing, like, did we actually get what we needed? Like, we were looking for catharsis in, you know, the actual apology, but I don't know that that's what they really got. I feel like everybody came out of that interaction a little bit worse, even if they didn't realize that they were coming out
right.
a little bit worse. Um,
But
Kendall and Shiv.
you as the watcher, as the viewer, how do you feel after that
It just felt a
scene?
bit like murky, Like you just felt like
Yeah, I
there
feel
was
like
this
he gave you
weight.
what you needed, but not what you
Yeah,
wanted.
like this kind of like cloud was just on top of me after seeing it. It's just like everybody just feels worse for wear right now, even Logan. Like, and I wonder, like, this whole thing of him kind of changing the plan to bring
Hmm.
in, whatever the case may be, like bring in Roman and move the board meeting. First of all, can he do that? Like, can he actually get that done? Moving the board meeting like the day before. I don't know. I guess he can
Yeah,
as chairman,
that's a bit
but
mad.
yeah, I don't know. That's just very weird to me. But also, it's interesting because the performances are so nuanced. Like the acting is so good paired with
Hmm.
this script that even when you're not sure, like even when you feel somebody's getting what they deserve, you still end up feeling bad for them just a tiny bit, just because of the way that they're portrayed. Like, I cannot believe there was a
Yeah,
moment
man.
in this episode where I was actually like feeling sorry for Carrie.
Everyone but her, man.
Bro,
Everyone but her. But
Carrie was getting clowned. Like, Kendall and Roman were watching that thing over and over again just so they could, like, exercise their laughing muscles. I was like, yo, are they starting it again?
yeah, they kept on
Oh my
reloading it, didn't
god.
they? That
And
was
then
hilarious.
Greg getting sent to deliver that message. I mean, Tom is a problem. I think most of us watching this show know that Tom is
Tom
actually a
is a pretty
problem.
shitty person
He's
because he just sent Greg to just go do it.
And I feel
Just
like there's a part of
yeah,
him
I'm
that
gonna.
knew that Carrie is smart. Like, Carrie was always going to see through the whole script that Tom told Greg to deliver, and Greg was
Hmm.
basically helpless against that. That's just so
There was
weird.
a
Like,
also there was a consulting team. I
a
was gonna
focus
that's
group. What?
a
Who
focus
is
group.
in
There
this
we go.
focus
My
group?
bad.
Like, she actually was asking follow-up
Yeah,
questions,
she
and
wants to
Maz
know.
didn't know what to do.
She needs to know. Oh man, that's amazing. And yeah, that's Succession, season 4, episode 2, rehearsal. For some reason, I always fuck up with whenever we say like Succession episode 4. Sorry, season 4. See, I fucked up again.
Yeah.
Season 4, episode 2. I always mess up with like with the words and the numbers. I don't know why, and I'm supposed to be
It
like a
is
numbers guy.
season 4,
But
episode 2, titled Rehearsal.
the rehearsal, yeah, and that's the episode. Really fun episode. So please, guys, yeah, once the episode comes out, let us know how you felt about it, and yeah, we'll be back next week with episode 3. But before that, obviously, don't forget to like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Obviously, leave some ratings on our Spotify for all Succession related content, all Ted Lasso, Mandalorian, Yellow Jackets, everything. The lots coming up. We have other episodes and shows coming up as well. I obviously like to thank Ebube for coming through and giving his, you know, smart takes on
I
Succession.
try.
And he tries hard. He's only actually watches the episode, guys. I just kind of breeze through it
Vibes.
and skim through. So there you go, just vibes through it exactly. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next week when I think who's joining us next week?
It's not Kalia. It's actually Damson Idris. I feel like Kalia is on the tip of your tongue, but it was Damson Idris. You check the schedule. Yeah.
Damson Idris. I guess, yeah, Damson Idris. I guess we'll see you next
Hmm.
week then. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming through. And yeah, also, DVLA, F you. F you million times.
Oh my god.
And we are out.